This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is a Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And today we are talking about Anthony Davis's fit with the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron making a whole hoopla with his comments saying he wants to play with them, and apparently getting dinner after the Pelicans-Lakers game last night. We'll be doing a 2018 NBA trade wish list since it is our Christmas episode. It's going to be coming out either on the 23rd, 24th, or even on Christmas. So, Merry Christmas to those who celebrate. Happy holidays to the others. And then also we're going to be doing our Wet Boys, talking about guys who absolutely went off in the past week, guys who had fantastic performances. Definitely one that is making us eat our words from last week about his coach being fired. And then finally we're going to be talking about best fits for the Cavs in the NBA draft. And we're going to do our best, at least I'm going to do our best, to avoid the Z word in that topic. But let's jump in, boys. We're going to be talking about Anthony Davis's fit with the Los Angeles Lakers. As most people know, LeBron James made some comments that could be seen as tampering, that he wants to be playing with Anthony Davis. A reporter asked about their upcoming matchup and if he would ever want to play with Anthony Davis. And he said, I would love to. And that got the ball rolling with Anthony Davis rumor mill reports to the Lakers. So first off, let's start with the tampering question. Do you think it's tampering that LeBron or any player do you think it's tampering if they say they want to play with somebody else?
I think it's the stupidest stuff in the world. And the reason why I say that is exactly like LeBron said. It's like, of course I would love to play with these guys because they're great players. Plus, when you've got a guy like LeBron, what's he like to do? Win. What's he want to do? Win more championships. Of course, you're going to do that by playing with these guys. And we already know the NBA is a player league. They all like playing with each other. They all love doing the all-star thing to kind of play with each other there. How much fun do they have playing with each other when they get to it, like USA basketball in the past and stuff like that? So this tampering stuff, it's like, come on. Are we just going to say everything's tampering just because the small teams think that the big brothers are going to win and everyone's out to get the little brother? That's what I'm seeing from it.
Dave, what do you think?
You're absolutely right. Like there's no winning as a small market team in the NBA right now. Like the NBA's tried to give them the advantage of the supermax contracts, but like we haven't seen one of those actually work out yet. It's like as soon as they're granted, it's like, I don't think that was a good idea. So I don't have a problem with what he's saying and what he's putting out there. I think it's more entertaining to let him, speak his mind, and if he wants to play with great players, let him play with great players.
My thing is like, how is this, like, and by the rules, it is tampering. I mean, like, he can get fined. He's susceptible to a fine for that. We're not really arguing the rules on whether he broke it or not. Saying that you want to play with another player in some ways is tampering. But I also don't see the problem with it. It's just really, what is the problem with saying you want to play with another player? But how do you think that this would change if he was on Cleveland? Since that is still technically a small market, would people care as much because he's now a Laker?
No, because the whole reason why I think this is even a story is because the small market GMs made it a story. If he was on Cleveland and said that, the small market GMs, they might have, some of the ones that aren't winning might have tried to like say something to the league. But like for me, I think that when it comes to tampering, what really, and I'm going to use air quotes, can a player do? Because technically, LeBron James isn't the one finalizing deals, isn't making the trades. Yeah, he can influence Magic Johnson and say, like, hey, this is what I want. But they're not the ones signing the paper, basically signing the checks. Yeah. It's the owners and the GMs and the front office that's doing that. So with me, it's like, can you really fine a player for tampering? Because they're not the ones that make the moves. It's the GMs and the front office that do.
But LeBron's sort of a unique case where he's like GM. Like, you joke about it. We know what his impact was, obviously in Miami and then back in Cleveland the second time around. I feel like he's a specific case, and like you can't treat him like you would treat every other player in the NBA because of his reach, because of his front office, how far his word carries. So I don't know. It's very hard to lay down a blanket rule like that against a player like LeBron James in my mind. Like I think the NBA is best to just let it go with LeBron James because if you find him, then we get all these like cheeky remarks from every player being like, "Oh, I can't talk about anything like anymore." Like I mean, you saw there's just no winning. There's no winning from the NBA standpoint.
And you were going to bring up, you saw what he did after the game, saying, like, ask me if I want to play with KD, ask me if I want to play with Luka, he mentioned.
He left out Carmelo Anthony, strangely enough.
Also didn't say Steph.
Yep,
so
didn't say that
he
one.
hates Steph.
Yep.
But one thing, too, is, like, and it kind of goes into both your things, Jake DM me right away, and I don't think it is just small market GMs. I mean, Jake DM'd me immediately when Dave McNamee,
sounds about right.
Whatever, the Cavs, former Cavs reporter, now LA reporter.
Dave McMenamin,
yeah, thank you. He put the new story with Anthony Davis playing in Los Angeles this week. What does LeBron James think about Lakers potentially trading for AD to make LA his permanent home? He said that would be amazing. LeBron told ESPN. Jake sent me that tweet, said, that's tampering. And then I said, is it? He said, you cannot express interest in another player on another team publicly. Remember, Magic did it with PG and got fined $5,000. And then I said, but I don't think that counts with players. I didn't know the rules yet. And then Jake said, I could be wrong, but I think it's the rule. The rule is the same for players as executive, or at least it should be. And then, like you said, but even if it is, LeBron's not going to get fined. And that's what Jake said. So, I mean, again, it doesn't matter about the rules. I don't care if it's enforced or not because I don't think it matters in the end because if the Pelicans feel like this is tampering, again, you can say no to a trade. You have to trade him to L.A. And if Anthony Davis is going to get upset, he has eyes. He can watch the news. He can see the standings and where the Pelicans are in the standings. He can see and realize without LeBron James saying anything that the Pelicans aren't going anywhere. And he is the face of that franchise and that he is the reason that this team is winning games at all. So he can see without LeBron James's influence that New Orleans most likely is a dead-end situation. And the only thing that you can get out of them is that Supermax.
Well, and the thing that I got two things from what you just said. The first one is, are we only making a big deal about this because it's New Orleans and LA? Like, we know they have a past of trades that should have went down that didn't go down. Thank you, David Stern.
Yeah, but different franchise.
For that. I know that, but it's like...
Same city, different franchise.
Is that why we're doing this? Because it's New Orleans and LA, and there's a little bit of a history with that. The other thing that I was thinking, that what you just brought up is the AD side of it, is it would be different if LeBron said, I want to play with AD, and then the next day, AD's like, I want to trade. I demand a trade. Then it's like, okay, there might be some tampering here. LeBron might have influenced Anthony Davis. And the quote that came out from AD after last night's game against the Lakers is he said he'd take legacy over money. I want to have a legacy. All my people that look up to me, the younger kids, I want them to know about AD's legacy, championships, the things I do in the community, being a good teammate, playing hard, all that stuff matters to me. Don't get me wrong. Money is amazing, but I think in that sense, money or legacy, I would take legacy will win the battle every time. I could see that as a argument for he would stay, and I would keep that as an argument for why he would want to go to the Lakers and play with LeBron.
Pretty ambiguous, but also one thing, I don't think he has to choose legacy over money because I think he's going to get money no matter where he goes.
That's
and
why
again,
it's like, it's amazing.
He can still be smart to take that money and then also try to build a legacy by demanding a trade. So I don't think that really clarifies anything, and it's just a very good response. Of course, everyone wants to have legacy over money. Like that's something that everyone can get behind. So that's a good PR thing from Anthony Davis.
I completely agree.
Whether he said that and didn't have anyone influencing him, or he has the best PR agent. I mean, that was a really good response from him. Much better than LeBron, although it's definitely not as quotable or memeable.
I know, right?
But with that, I do think that, Anthony Davis has been vocal about staying in New Orleans as well. He hasn't requested a trade. He's been there for a very long time. He hasn't been upset about it. And a lot of these rumors are just media stuff. So before we get into how he does fit with the Los Angeles Lakers, because that's what we titled this video, this is the topic, Dave, do you think it is feasible to see Anthony Davis on a new team within the next year?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think that the Lakers kind of take away the whole Paul George situation. Like, as a franchise, like, hey, we thought we had this guy locked up. Everything, all signs pointed to he wants to come play for us. We didn't put any investment into that one, and we paid the price. Like, now he's over. He's staying in OKC long term. So I think they look at Anthony Davis and they go, yeah, eventually he could get to free agency and could choose us, but we have LeBron here. We have young talent and good assets. Let's get this done and locked up today. Like I think that they're going to go aggressive on this rather than wait because of what happened with Paul George.
Well, and Kawhi Leonard. Like, they were in talks with the whole, like, oh, we could make a push for him, and look at what happened. He gets
but that's
traded
also
to
not dead yet.
Toronto.
Yeah, I say we still have one
he could still
offseason.
re-sign this year.
He could,
He
but
gets
I
signed
mean,
this year, not re-signed.
that was another thing of, like, they could have pulled the trigger and tried to make a trade. I know that was also the Spurs trying to be like, we don't want to send him to the Lakers. But
Yeah, they wouldn't.
They could have also
That's pop.
done a little harder in that to get Kawhi.
Now, I mean, you could still see the framework of getting both AD and Kawhi. Because if he doesn't take that Supermax, they trade him now. He's only worth 25 on the books for 25 now, then 27 next year. That can keep you still under the floor because that's very similar to the Bradley Beal contract. I think Bradley Beal's is around 24. They still have that leg room to bring in AD through a trade.
Correct.
And then also get Kawhi Leonard this offseason. So it's not dead that, I mean, and it could end up looking like the smartest move of not trading for Kawhi because those assets that you could have traded for Kawhi just got you AD and then you just signed Kawhi Leonard. So the framework isn't there, and I don't think that's really in their minds yet. It's just how much will they give up and how much are they willing to give up to the Pelicans, and then also are the Pelicans willing to give him up because he's not a free agent until 2020. So he's definitely going to be a Pelican if they want him to be until 2019, 2020. So there is no need for them to trade him now. And his trade value is always going to be high. It's Anthony freaking Davis. He's the top 3 player in the league.
And that's why with me, this season, next year, I don't think he gets traded at all. And the reason why is the Pelicans. And I don't want to say how stupid of a move, but I do. It depend on what they got back in the deal. Like, if they got a ton of young assets and draft picks, it's like, okay, we got basically a king's ransom for Anthony Davis. You can say, okay, that's good. But I think it'd be looked at as a stupid move by the fan base and around the NBA if you trade him before that contract year, because the MO should be, let's try to build a team around Anthony Davis and win a championship with Anthony Davis here in New Orleans and get him to resign and not go to like an LA or a bigger team.
Well, and with the Pelicans too, I mean, they're 26th in attendance this year. So the only reason why people are going to games is Anthony Davis. And they have been vocal about getting pieces around Anthony Davis. Obviously, they've done that so far this year. The prior year, they went out and got Nikola Mirotic. They went out and got Julius Randle. They tried to make this team better around him. They went out and got DeMarcus Cousins as well. Like, they've been very active in trying to make this team better. It hasn't been extremely fruitful yet because they still are out of the playoffs as of right now. West is very tight. That can change in 3 days. But I do think that with the Pelicans, it's not likely that they're trading him this year.
Well, and Alvin Gentry has said, no, we're not trading him. We're not trading him under any circumstance. I know, he's the coach, but it's like, I would think the GM would be thinking the same thing. We're not trading him under any circumstance.
I mean, he's one of the most valuable assets in the NBA today. And I think it's very hard to admit as a team that, you weren't able to put a group of players around him to succeed. He's putting up these ridiculous stat lines night in, night out, and they're not coming with any wins. Like, you're still a mediocre team no matter what pieces you've added. Like, at some point, it's hard to admit that you failed, but I think they're going to hit that crossroads and be like, look, we've tried adding pieces around Anthony Davis. Contractually, it hasn't worked out for us. We haven't been able to find the right fit to make this team go over the top. And you look around the rest of the league and what teams are being put together, and I'm sorry, I don't see a way that they can find the right pieces to put around him in the remaining 2 years to make him go, yeah, I want to re-sign here and keep playing because, these guys are doing everything they can for me. They're making moves, but the moves aren't paying off. So you can give them credit for, like Sean said, all the player movement that's going on, but I look over at teams like obviously Toronto, Boston, and Golden State, and I go, yeah, those are the teams that are going to be in the playoffs. They're going deep, and every single year you're going to see a combination of those teams fighting for a championship.
Or I'd throw out the Rockets before this year.
You can, but Chris Paul's hurt every 5 days, so it doesn't matter. I just see that team, I don't see a path for them to get there with Anthony Davis. So my concern is that they're going to hold on to him for too long, and if he decides against that Supermax, kind of building off that comment Ricky said about legacy over money, like, money in the NBA today, it sounds like a stupid number, but you get more from your endorsement deals. You get more from shoe deals. Like, Derrick Rose is getting shoe money that's in the crazy numbers. His contract this year is like nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's being realistic about that. I just think that they're better for getting something than nothing for Anthony Davis, and I think that that's where we're going to end up at.
Well, right now, and Sam Amick of The Athletic did say Davis does not see the extra $87.3 million that New Orleans is expected to offer in a 5-year, $239.5. That's crazy money.
Yeah.
$239.5 million Supermax extension this summer as a factor in his eventual decision. But still, like, that's $87.3 million that you're turning down, and that's why
that's like 2 years of a shoe deal.
But still, that's
no, I'm
still
serious.
another
Like, that's
$87 million. Like, I would be tough for, and maybe that's just me as
he's got a new
person
agent,
that's never
remember?
seen $873.
I would be thrilled.
Like maybe I don't know it, but he does have the new agent and Rich Paul, who is LeBron's agent. And
get
obviously,
that man top dollar.
He's helped him get max before, obviously going to LA, going to Miami, but also have worked with super teams before. So that's something that's going to be important as well. I do agree with you though that I don't think they're waiting too long, but I don't think it's going to happen this year because again, you can keep them for that next year. And although it's going to be one less year of control on him, if you do trade him next year, you still have that ability to sell him on the city. And I don't see the point in giving up this early. He's not sold on the city
after
this many years. But that's the thing is, I think he is. But it's maybe not on the city, but you can sell him on the culture. You can sell him on the team that you could possibly build. Yeah. And maybe it has to be another strip down and rebuild around Anthony Davis, but he's still only going to be 26 at the end of this contract.
And the thing I'm going to throw out there is going back to his comments and how I said, I could see it as a both ways. This is why with me, I lean more towards that Laker side of it, because there's only one thing in his comments that I think he can do with LeBron in LA that he can't do with the Pelicans. And that's the word he mentions: championships. Like when he mentions younger kids and things they do in the community.
Known for winning championships? I don't know.
But I'm saying with LeBron, that would be a bigger expectation than in New Orleans, because like Dave says, they haven't been able to put a team around him that, they've gone to the playoffs in some years, but they haven't put a team around him that is that Warrior caliber, that even that Boston or Toronto, but like working in the community, being a good teammate, playing hard. You could do that anywhere. He could do that in LA. He can do that in New Orleans. It's that C word that he uses to where it's like, in the end, where are you going to have a better chance to win one of those? With LeBron in LA.
It might not be just LeBron in LA, though. It could be anywhere besides New Orleans.
Well,
that's not like,
for the
Phoenix
sake of this conversation, that's the two we're talking about.
The interesting thing is, like, we always want to put Anthony Davis in that conversation for being one of the best players in the NBA. He was going to be the guy to take over for LeBron before Giannis. He was, we always said iteration of, no, but
I might still take Anthony Davis over Giannis.
Fair. I mean, it's up for argument. Don't get me wrong. I just think it's like we always want to crown people to that next level. And what we're watching LeBron James do and carrying a very young team with a couple of older pieces on there, and to the record that they have in the Western Conference, and we're all pretty confident that LeBron's going to take them into the playoffs, no problem. Yeah. Meanwhile, Anthony Davis is on a team with another two-way player, all-star, and Drew Holiday, and they're struggling to, I know it's the West, so a couple games like you said, but like I see them struggling to get into the playoffs, and I don't see them challenging anyone once they get there because they don't have the well-rounded team to go into there. They've got a couple of nice pieces.
And right now they're only 4.5 games back of the Lakers, and the Lakers are in fourth. So, I mean, there's not that much of a difference. And also, New Orleans
by the
last
end of the year, do you see where that's going to go?
Well, here's another thing, too, with New Orleans. Like, last year, New Orleans, and yes, they didn't have, like, Rondo or and not even Boogie, because last year in that second half is when they really started picking things up.
Right.
So, I mean, we might not be seeing the best iteration of the New Orleans Pelicans yet. And maybe they do go out and get a trade, and they'd make a trade that's going to boost this team. I think that, again, giving up on this season and giving up the ability to make the playoffs is definitely, I think, short-sighted, because we even saw last year that once they got to the playoffs,
you can go on a roll too.
They dominated the Portland Trail Blazers. And then obviously they went up against the Warriors. It was a fine series. I mean, against the Warriors, you put up a better fight than LeBron did with the Cavs. You won a game and the Cavs didn't. So I think with that
you don't got that playoff Rondo this year. You replaced him with Elfrid Payton.
Well, but they're not done yet, and that's the thing. They do seem like a very active front office. So I think that it's not dead that Anthony Davis won't re-sign. But let's get into the whole Lakers part, because we have 10 minutes left. How does he fit with the Lakers? Because let's say the trade is, for them to move on, they need to give him the big three: Kuzma, B.I., and Lonzo Ball, and then picks. That's the trade for Anthony Davis. So Lonzo, B.I., Kuzma, picks for AD. How does that change the Lakers this year? Let's say it happens tomorrow. How does it change the Lakers this year? What is their future like? And then also, what's their expectations for this year?
I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if Laker fans feel any different than this. You mentioned all three names, and my head went, can I get away with not giving away all three? Like, can I give maybe like...
No, that's what we've been talking about, is that the Pelicans do not want to give them up. So you have to give them the best offer you can.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Give them all the young players.
Would my best offer, could I finagle it to where instead of, hey, I'm going to give you these players, I get to keep one of them, maybe one of them, like Alonzo, maybe a Kuzma, and give you just a boatload of future picks. Like a boatload of first rounders, because if my team's going to be good, they're not, but that's also another thing. If they're going to be good, they're going to be lower picks. They're not going to be higher picks.
Yeah, why would you want later
draft.
picks then?
That's a tricky thing where I don't know if I'd want to give up all three for Anthony Davis, but if he gets traded for all three, I think he fits nicely with the Lakers. Like, it's not like the biggest thing with the Lakers is, in watching them last night play the Pelicans, they look great in transition. Like when LeBron just flicks it up the floor, it's like easy running, and that's what Luke Walton obviously wants to do. I think Anthony Davis can fit into that, but when you're losing Kuzma and Lonzo in this deal, you lose both of those to add Anthony Davis. It's not bad, but it's like your team changes a bit.
The trade that would work contractually would be KCP, Lonzo, BI, Kuzma for 80. Straight up.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
If I'm the Lakers,
it's for a top 3 player.
If I'm the Lakers,
Brandon
right
Ingram's
now,
not going to be a top 3 player.
Nope.
Lonzo Ball's not going to be a top 3 player. Kyle Kuzma's not going to be a top 3 player. KCP's off the books and he wants to be traded, so that's just literal money
KCP,
to make
I'm not
that
even
go.
thinking about.
And the first round picks, like you just said, you know, they're not going to be anything. So even if you give them 4 first round picks, you have Anthony Davis on that team for at least the rest of his career, most likely, or at least 5 years because he's going to re-sign.
Right.
You have LeBron James for at least 3 more years before maybe he falls off a cliff. He'll be 37 in 3 years. So I just think that
your starting lineup then turns into what? Rondo, Hart, Stevenson, LeBron, and AD, or you bounce Stevenson out and you add Tyson Chandler / JaVale.
Yeah, and then you just move LeBron to the 3.
Yeah. I think like he said, their dynamic would change a bit from being that ultra fast-paced offense completely on the fast break to something more sustainable for them late in the season, because as you know, when the playoffs kick off, like defense locks in, the game gets slower. It's a much different playing style.
Well, the one thing too, the Lakers this year are a really good defensive team. Obviously, they're going to be losing Lonzo.
They can even play no hands defense.
They did no hands defense against the Rockets.
They'll be losing Lonzo, but then also you'll be gaining AD,
which
defensive player of the year candidate.
I feel like the player fit would be good. The trade fit is not good at this point. Like, let me wait until that contract gets closer to the end before that trade fit for the Lakers is better, and I might not have to give up as much for the Pelicans because they might go in desperation mode to get rid of them.
But if you wait until the offseason, you then are competing with the Celtics, which we've talked about before, where the Celtics seemingly have
which
more
could do a sign and trade with
do.
Kyrie if he wants to. Like, if Kyrie doesn't want to come back, they could talk into it but
yeah,
I don't know why Kyrie
wants
wanted
to
to
go
play
play
in
in
New Orleans.
That's what he's been talking about. He wants that big market New Orleans game.
Or Gordon Hayward. They could trade Gordon Hayward as well. Like, those, I'm thinking the big contracts.
No, I know.
That they would have to move.
They have way more firepower. Like way more.
If Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, I don't know. They don't want to give up Tatum.
They have 4 first-round picks this year. They have potential picks next year, and then the following year. No, I think that's why
picks on picks.
The pressure is on the Lakers to get it done, and that's, I feel like I said,
it's done this year.
Yeah, I think they
so
have
before
to
the trade deadline.
Because as soon as the trade deadline passes, you're then competing with the Celtics in the offseason. The Celtics, Kyrie Irving comes off. You can either sign him to a brand new contract, get rid of that Rose Rule problem that was preventing you from going after AD, or if he moves on in his career, you know, you have opportunity to do other things. But like, so much draft capital and so many young talented players, but they can't even give everybody playing time right now. So I think that there's no way the Lakers can compete with them in the open market, and I just don't believe that they would win out for a Anthony Davis trade sweepstakes if it came down to it. They're the only team right now who reasonably would move their entire franchise basically to get him.
I'm going to add another layer onto that, and why I agree with that is because we mentioned Kawhi earlier. Yeah. I don't think Kawhi's going to the Lakers. I believe Kawhi, in my heart of hearts, I believe Kawhi is the player that doesn't want to play with LeBron. He wants to beat LeBron. He wants to go up against the best. And I could see if he goes to L.A., it ain't for the Lakers. He's going for the Clippers because they're going to build.
Well, even then, Kawhi's not the biggest fish out there.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, but that's why I'm saying.
You still have Kemba Walker as well. I know
that's
Kawhi's
why
a
I'm
bigger
saying,
fish
like,
than Kemba, but
with what Dave was saying, get it done now compared to when you have to compete with the Celtics. Because then if, let's say, Durant and Kawhi go to the Clippers, oh, great, we got that to deal with now in our own city.
Also, you're moving to all those long-term...
Wait, you have Durant and Kawhi going
I
to
just
the
threw out,
Clippers?
it's two things that have been floated around the Twitter spurs and everything.
I don't get this whole Clipper shit, but all right.
Like, it could happen.
I get that
It
people
could.
are rumored, but like, I don't know.
Trying to make the Clippers cool again?
I'm just saying, if that
Were they ever
happened...
cool?
Never.
Like, if that happened, then the Lakers would be like, shit, we got it. Like, hit the panic button because we don't have anything at that. Well, they've got stuff, but it's like, at that point, if they didn't get AD, it's like, oh, great. Now we got to compete with this in our own city.
Even when the Clippers were good, they sucked. Everyone hated them. CP3 was a dick. Blake Griffin was a dick.
DeAndre Jordan, not very lovable, I guess. I feel
He
like
is
they
now.
actually did love him. Yeah.
Luka helps him out.
It was Lob
Yeah.
City, man. The hype of Lob City.
The other upside of this deal is it gets rid of a lot of long-term contracts from the Lakers. So it gives them more flexibility for the next year, following year, that after that. So, like, I think all in, yes, it makes them extremely top-heavy of a team. Like, they have no depth at that point. Like, they're literally rocking,
But does that matter?
come playoffs, it doesn't. That's the point.
And then
That's where I want to get to. It was like, look, playoff time, LeBron's going to play 40 plus, AD's going to play 40 plus, JaVale's going to go out there, he's going to play as many minutes as he
Soak
can.
up
You got
some
Tyson
minutes.
Chandler. Zubac last night actually looked like he played a whole game.
And then even then, like with that, if they do get AD, LeBron, and they add another max contract,
Oh my God.
saying that vets won't just sign vet minimums and
Yeah.
help out that team's
They
depth.
will 100% get the Warriors
They got
treatment
fucking
then.
Boogie. I mean, with the Warriors did that, they got Boogie. I mean, you could if you have someone coming off an injury, you can just get somebody on a mid-level extension or a mid-level exception that's going to just help your team.
So you're hoping like Kemba breaks a knee like in the
No,
next month?
God no, Jesus Christ no.
I'm trying to think of guys coming up on contracts.
I'm not saying like that big
Kemba's
of a
the
name.
only one I
I'm
know.
not saying that big of a name, but like Sean Livingston wasn't like he was a good player, but was coming off an injury, and then he had a whole long injury career, a whole long injury history.
Hey, man, D-Wade can
signed
take a
him,
vet
and
man to come
obviously it was a
back.
good thing.
He don't got to retire.
Oof.
James Jones, I don't want to be a GM. I got to ride this
Derrick
coattail
Rose.
some more.
Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose could go sign a cheap contract.
The last quick thing I do want to throw out there, though, and this is about the AD legacy,
Yeah.
and this just popped into my head. Another reason why I feel like sooner rather than later he will be with the Lakers is with
bought a house there?
With his legacy quote, which legacy do you want? Scottie Pippen or Karl Malone? Do you want to be
Karl Malone.
Do you want to be the number 2 and have championships, or the
Well,
number 1
outside
and
of
never
him,
have a ring?
Outside of his personal life of being a scumbag.
No, I'm saying basketball. Like,
Yeah, okay.
Karl Malone was a
I'm
basketball
saying
player.
basketball. Like, do you want to be Scottie
Stay there
Pippen
for a minute.
or Karl Malone? And
Karl
if I
Malone.
had those two choices, I'm taking Scottie Pippen. I'm taking those rings.
No, I'm taking Karl Malone because I'm taking top 5 in scoring of all time.
Don't
Was
mean a thing if
One of
you
the most
got that
dominant
ring.
power forwards of all time. I mean, no, Karl Malone was a better player than Scottie Pippen. I'd rather be Karl Malone than be the number 2.
I'd rather have those rings.
6 rings for Scottie Pippen is a lot. But that's
True.
I'm
But
sorry.
How many of those were his?
Well, that's the debate. Like, that's the
I would take
legacy
Scottie.
chose. Because
I'm with Ricky on this one. That's not like a Chicago thing. It's just like I would rather be a 6-time champion than be one of the greatest all-time scorers at my position, players at my position.
But even then, if the
because
Lakers
Scottie's still
do get...
looked upon as a top
Player.
10 small forward. So like,
Well, yeah, no, Scottie Pippen was still extremely talented.
Yeah.
I'm just
It's not-
saying, like,
there is a
if
talent
you're
gap, don't get
ranking,
me
if
wrong,
you're ranking
but-
players,
Yeah.
Karl Malone's above Scottie Pippen.
Yeah.
Scottie Pippen's not too far behind,
Right.
But Michael Jordan
So
clearly
when
won
you
those
take 6
championships for the Bulls.
rings-
If you take Michael Jordan off those Bulls teams, they're not winning those rings.
right, you end up with those in between years where he took him to the playoffs but couldn't win.
Because that's
which
what I
is-
feel like AD's legacy. Like, if he goes plays with LeBron, you're not the 1 to LeBron. You're the 2 to LeBron. But if you stay in New Orleans, you're the best player on that team, but you ain't beating LeBron
Big
in
fish,
the playoffs.
small market.
I
Plus the
disagree
Jazz are a
because
small market.
he's so dominant. He's not even in his prime yet. He's about to probably be Defensive Player of the Year again. Or Defensive Player of the Year for the first time. 6-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA team. Probably top 2 finisher and MVP. It depends on where they finish the Pelicans because I don't think he's going to get traded. If they're a playoff team though,
I'd love to do
he's
another
gonna be an
topic on
MVP.
like how the
He's gonna be
Pelicans can
MVP.
like fix their franchise. Like how do you take AD to that next level?
I don't know. But, I mean, you look at his stats, and they're fucking stupid. 28.1 points per game, 12.6 boards, 4.7 assists, 2.7 blocks, 1.7 steals, on 50 shooting, 33 from 3, and 80% from the line, like insane.
Yeah. Oh no, he's incredible. He's absolutely incredible. But again, you can't win with one.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we've learned in recent years.
But also the Pelicans, like, this is something where if you trade Anthony Davis away and you're not able to be rebuilt, then you're immediately thrown into the whole Seattle thing.
So
then
let's take the guys that we're moving. Let's say that trade did happen. You get Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, KCP for the 1 year till you push them out the door.
You got Mirotic and Julius Randle. You have the Lakers again. KCP, 4 Lakers, and then Julius Randle. You have the Lakers of 20 whatever.
But now they're all a year older, year better. So I don't know. I think that's a good start, at least. It might not be the best start if you wait till the Celtics, but
you have Drew Holiday,
it's a good. Yeah, as I say, like, that's not a bad team by any means.
Do they still make the playoffs? They trade Anthony Davis, they get that package. They make the playoffs.
I weirdly think that like they are like net minus like 3 games tops.
Well, then you get
plus minus 3 games
quicker, right? Because I mean, you're getting rid of Anthony Davis, and you're going to speed up that because then you don't have to play Solomon Hill. You don't have to play some of these slower guys. You have a trailing Nikola Mirotic for these 3 balls. You have Julius Randle. Be a fun team.
It would be a really fun team. I'm totally with you. They go like right to the top of fun teams.
All right, let's say the last question, the max package for the Lakers versus like a 75% offer from the Celtics. So like, some of their picks, and they don't give up JT, they give up Jaylen Brown. All right.
So Jaylen Brown, like 3 picks.
Yeah. So which one would you rather take if you're the Celtics?
Honestly,
or if you're the Pelicans?
Yeah. Honestly, this year's draft class at this point, because all those picks are mid-range right now, like that, the Kings are doing way better than anyone expected, which is awesome. But because they're all like mid to late, I would take the Lakers pick. Or I would take the Lakers draft capital on that. Because
I am going if I'm on the Pelican side, I'm taking the Laker offer all day, every day. Give me Lonzo, give me Kuzma, give me BI, guys that have already been in the NBA compared to me making my own choice of who to draft in the
later.
Unknown, all right, then fine. Last question. Tatum and Brown for the 3 Lakers.
I'm taking
Tatum Brown.
No picks on the other side.
I'm taking the 3 Lakers.
Tatum Brown, no problem.
Why?
For me, I think that Jason Tatum's still probably going to end up being a top 5 like small
forward. Which is weird that you chose that because you're always calling JT overrated.
I am. I don't care. In like 7 years, he's going to be like a top 5 small forward. Or during that time, he will be. Mm-hmm. I think Jaylen Brown, we haven't gotten to see the best out of him because he's had inconsistent playing time because they're so stacked at the wing position. So I think that you put them on a team where you can basically move Drew back to the 1, Jaylen Brown at the 2, and JT at the 3. Like that. And
then Mirotic and Randle.
Yeah, I don't love Nico, but whatever.
Well, I mean, just he's the best. He's at least player.
I'm rolling Ja out there at the 5.
Well,
Skinny John at the 4,
and the re-signing Mike Okafor.
Yeah.
Why Lakers over?
Kind of similar thing to what Dave, except I get an extra. Like, I don't like playing Nico out there all the time. Cool. How I have it is
I do like Kuzma Nico, but...
Lonzo at the 1. You move Drew to the 2. You get BI at the 3. Kuz and Mirotic can switch on the 4, and then Ja at the 5. You just figure out the 5. Randle at the 5. Yeah. You just figure it out at that point. Have them 2 switch. Ja can come in and play the 4, and it works a little bit better.
The thing is you're getting getting the better player in Jason Tatum,
right?
In the Celtics deal,
yeah.
And Jaylen Brown, I think will probably be better than Brandon Ingram.
He has potential to be.
So
absolutely.
You're getting 3 starters for sure with the Lakers, but the potential I think is greater on the side of the the Celtics.
Yeah.
Because I think that Lonzo probably has the highest ceiling of any of these players, at least for the Lakers. I would say that Tatum has a higher ceiling than Lonzo. So I'd probably say if I was ranking those players, it'd probably be Tatum, Lonzo, Brown, Ingram, Kuzma. Because I know Kuzma's putting up like 18 points per game. He's a very capable scorer, but...
Wait, say that one more time in order.
Tatum. Zoe.
Yep.
Brown. B.I. Kuzma.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown versus B.I. I don't know. I'm still leaning Brandon Ingram. He's just got the length and if he...
Well, my thing is that...
He's very system dependent. And right now with LeBron, I'd hoped he would be able to fill in really well as his two-man, but like it's clearly Kuzma.
My thing is that I've seen more from Jalen in some places where Ingram does have more potential.
Right.
Where also Brown, I think he has more confidence in his game, and Ingram, I feel like we've consistently seen it's a struggle to get him confident. And I don't think that next level drive has been there yet in the NBA.
Yeah.
And he is still very young. He can develop. He's only 22 years old. So I think he can, develop that drive at some point. But Brown being in the playoffs, having that kick in the ass, being under Brad Stevens, I think he already has that drive. So at worst, he will always be hustling his ass off. He will always be contributing. And maybe BI will have that next level, ceiling. But I think, again, it's something where the floor is higher on Brown, ceiling might be lower. But I think the difference there, floor is very low, I think, for Ingram.
Yeah.
Because, again, right now he's putting up 15 points per game, but it's not an efficient one. And, he's not really, I don't think he has that team leader in him.
Yeah.
I think, his role right now, he might end up being delegated to a bench player if he's not able to turn it up.
Yikes.
In the years when he's, coming up to like 26, 27, and he's like sticking around the same place he is when he's 21, what's the point of putting him in there if you know what you're getting from him compared to a young rookie that you just drafted? But that's what I'm saying.
I think weirdly you're not giving him like the potential he's due for is crazy because we saw him with a clear shot. Like you said, it's partially confidence. I think a lot of it comes down to the system he's playing right now, why he's underachieving. But that we're stuck in a wait and see. Like I think that he's obviously the first guy out the door on this LeBron team. Like I've seen enough to know that like that's just not going to work. He needs the ball in his hands too much. He obviously can create like as a primary ball handler, secondary ball handler, but no, it's just their system, LeBron's system, not for BI.
And I know Brown has been bad this year, but I think, again, he's not getting consistent playing time. Where Ingram is getting that playing time. He's not able to find his role. And you're right. He needs the right system around him. But then will Elvin Gentry be able to put that around him? And then with Brown, I know that he's going to be able to be plug and play. And I think once he gets those minutes, he'll be able to show that potential that I'm talking about.
Cool.
That's going to do it. We're all thinking that AD to the Lakers is not likely this year, but Ricky's thinking that it is going to happen at some point. Dave,
I am as well.
Okay. All right. And then I think that we'll need to see a little bit more because obviously the Celtics have a lot of firepower. And then if he hits free agency, we'll have to see what happens because maybe LeBron finally hits a cliff in 2021 or 20. Is it 2020, 2021?
I believe
that's when he comes to free agent.
Yes. Yeah. It's the 2020 full season.
Yeah. So 2020, 2021, we'll have to see where the NBA landscape is and where the power leans because I think he will go to the power and try to build that legacy that he was talking about.